Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Jam-packed show this evening. So much going on, and I really want to start in Minneapolis. Of course, by now you have heard about the tragic murder of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. For those that don't know, if you've been under a rock somewhere, George Floyd, a black man, was supposed to be arrested on what they're calling a forgery charge. He allegedly gave a counterfeit $20 bill to store owner, someone in store. They called the police. Police come, and Mr. Floyd is arrested. He does not resist. He was compliant. Initially, members or spokesperson for the police department tried to say that he was combative or resisting arrest, but video footage has proven that that was not the case. So, in this, what was supposed to be an arrest, one of the officers places his knee on the throat of George Floyd. This is something that police officers do and have done. And so 4 Minneapolis police officers involved in this supposed to be arrest on Monday. And authorities, state, federal authorities investigating the arrest and death of George Floyd, pinned down to the ground. One of the officers, thankfully shown on cell phone footage. I say thankfully because you know how these things work. The police have an arrest, someone is killed. Patchy, spotty body camera footage surfaces months after, and all we know about that is the little images that they put out from their body camera that is tailored to make it seem like the person was resisting, or the person, that there was a justified killing, and that's the end of it. But these 4 Minneapolis officers were so brazen in their detainment of George Floyd that they didn't care that they were in a crowded street. Kids, old folks, young people around, pleading with them as George Floyd is pleading for his life, pleading with them. The officers go by and continue. So the officer who is placing his knee, 2 officers have been identified thus far. Derek Chauvin, Derek Chauvin, and another officer. But I really want to focus on Derek Chauvin. He's the one. He's the one. Now, he's not the only one that needs to go down. Murder, but this guy, murder on his neck, 8 minutes. And here's the thing: it's not on his back, right? Could have had his knee on the back. He had the knee on the throat. For what reason? Other than to kill him. All the momentum that he could put down, he did. And the other officers, no officers trying to stop this. They are trying to keep the crowd back. The crowd that's forming, upset, horrific, horrified as they watch the life leave the body of George Floyd. So the police tried to come out with their normal cleanup job, act like he was resisting, all this stuff. Interactions with the police have to be videotaped, not just by their body cameras who are going to work or not work, but independently as much as possible. And of course, in all situations, it can't happen, but as much as possible, it needs to happen. Thankfully, this happened, because if this was not video footage available, they would tell us anything, like they tried to do, even though we have video footage. So now what do you have? You have another unarmed citizen dead. And what is so bizarre to anyone is you have these, so-called protesters, right? So they were so upset that they could not get out and get the hair cut, nails done, whatever. The country's not open. So upset about that they chose to storm state houses with guns. They're in the faces of the police. Police exercise so much restraint. Look the other way, not even making eye contact, telling people to calm down, all kind of stuff. But when it's unarmed citizens, just one, and then multiple officers, they're so scared and they end up killing people, black people. And this is one of those instances where it is clear and it's plain, and it's been clear and plain plenty of times, and the police have gotten away with this. Typical fashion, there's looting going on. Police are clashing with protesters, but they're not marching just singing "We Shall Overcome." These some people are taking advantage, I'm sure, but there's looting going on. There's protesters. Streets are filled after the death of George Floyd at the hands of the police. Another unarmed black man killed. Minneapolis's mayor has made a statement at a press conference, and Jacob Frey called on the county attorney, whose name is Michael Freeman, to press charges against the arresting officer, the one who should be charged with murder. Press charges against him. The other three need charges as well because they are accessories. But George Floyd's Monday night death at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department, the arresting officer, the mayor is calling for him to be charged, as he should. Four officers were fired on Tuesday, and that's a very nice first step, but he definitely needs to be charged. The family of this poor guy, George Floyd, his family wants the cops charged. Cops with an S, all of them. Floyd's two brothers, his cousin, spoke about his death, which thankfully, as I keep saying, thankfully was caught on film. So all four officers have been fired, but they need to be charged with murder, because what they did was murder. And unfortunately for them, for the police department, always trying to, in a situation when it's clear and evident, what's the go-to line? The go-to line is, well, let's not rush to judgment. What are you talking about? Let's not rush to judgment. So, like I said, mostly the whole world has witnessed because someone was gracious enough to record it. The treatment of Mr. Floyd. They could have tased him, right? They chose not to. They could have maced him, chose not to. Instead, they put a knee in his neck and just sat on him and just carried on with things. Worse than they treat animals. Worse than they treat animals. We're going to see what what happens with this. As I said, as the show is going on now, there's looting in Minneapolis. A Target store was destroyed, other businesses destroyed. These are very unfortunate things. These businesses being targeted, but this is definitely not over. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back with more of the Diamond K Show after this.